Mr. Peter B. Field, thank you very much for joining Voice of America, Washington. May you introduce yourself first, please?
Well, I'm a retired military aviator, a fighter pilot, and also a test pilot. I worked for the Boeing company, actually for the McDonnell Douglas company here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I am based. Now, in my latter years, I do aircraft accident investigations for general aviation and for anybody that operates airplanes.
Sounds great. Mr. Peter, when you come to know that some plane is missing and it's been more than 24 hours, what immediately comes to your mind?
Well, that something has gone wrong. Airplanes that we have in this day and age are pretty reliable, and reliability, of course, is one of the prime ingredients that we want to build into all the airplanes that we have now, whether they're light planes or airliners. And the current generation of airliners are very, very reliable aircraft. So when we hear that a large airplane has gone down, it's very unusual.
Yeah, and so we can talk about the Boeing 777, the Malaysian Airlines that is missing. And this bus is considered the most reliable Airbus with excellent safety records. So this bus comes to crash, for example. What, as an investigator, you will focus on early stage?
Well, and it may be a little difficult in this particular case because it sounds like the Malaysian Airlines 777 went down over the ocean, but it's possible to sift through the wreckage and look for critical parts that would tell you what may have happened to the aircraft. I think most of your listeners probably know that airliners these days carry two flight recorders, one for voice from the cockpit, and interestingly enough, the cockpit voice recorders have microphones positioned all over the cockpit, so now they not only listen to the voices of the pilot and co-pilot or first officer and other crew members, but they also hear the sounds of that can be heard inside the cockpit. So if anything unusual happens, that's all recorded. And then the second flight data recorder records a wide variety of technical parameters, engine operating speed, the control positions, the attitude and airspeed of the aircraft, and many other parameters, so that if something unusual happens, the recorder will pick that up, and you can determine what, from reviewing that data, you can determine what.
Yeah, so Peter, it all is linked with the recorder. If you find, so you will be able to determine. So what are the things could happen so quick that left the pilot no time to place the distress call? Apparently, it happens in this case with a Kuala Lumpur airline.
Yes, I would. The first thing I would think of would be some sort of an explosive decompression of the airplane, either from a bomb or from some failure of one of the major hatches, loading hatches in the airplane. Or those are about the only things that I can think of. Structurally, the 777 has been very well tested, and you may remember, or some of your listeners may remember, that when we first started flying jet airplanes, the British Comet had an under-designed fuselage, and they had explosive decompressions in service where the actual skin of the airplane blew apart. I think that would be a very unlikely occurrence in the 777.
So the probabilities are it could be a terrorist attack, it could be a bomb, or it could be a major technical failure.
Yes,
Peter?
those would be the ones that I would list. But at the very bottom of that list would be the structural failure of the aircraft.
Yeah, got it. Because this is one of the very reliable Airbus. Unfortunately, Peter, this is the era where many unpleasant things are happen to linked with the non-state actors, the terrorists. I would like to know if there are still some loopholes in the air transportation system could have been exploited.
I think so. Here in the United States, we take a lot of care and sophistication with new instruments. The National Transportation Safety Board and the TSA, Transportation Safety Authorities, are always exploring new devices to detect materials and explosive materials and things of that nature. Those technologies may not have gotten out into the wider flying world, and perhaps not into Kuala Lumpur or Singapore or any of the other major cities in the Far East.
Mr. Peter, how do you take this piece of news that there were two passengers with the fake passport on board?
Well, I think that's possible. Somebody has managed to board the airplane with. If we assume that this is a terrorist attack, and we certainly don't know that yet, but if we assume that it's a terrorist attack, perhaps they were able to board the airplane with a device that would trigger a bomb, which might have been in their luggage, which was in the hold of the aircraft. And in that case, they may have chosen the time to detonate that and explode the airplane. But something like that would cause major structural failure in the airplane. The airplane's hurtling along at 560 miles an hour at altitude, and there's a very cold, a lot of pressure inside the airplane, and it's very cold on the outside. So explosive decompression would cause quite a lot of structural damage to the aircraft. And if they were located in the center of the airplane, it might be possible to break either the backbone of the fuselage or the wing carry-through structure. So you would have a monstrous structural failure of the aircraft. And if something like that did happen, it would happen so suddenly that the pilots would have no opportunity to broadcast anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, when we talk about the incidents like this, the plane is missing, there is hardly something good to think about. But as a layman with zero technical knowledge of air operations, or as a relative of a person, a passenger on board, can I have a reason of optimism that plane is still safe with hundreds of human lives, and maybe it is grounded somewhere under no radar or GPS?
Well, I think that's possible based on what we know right now. But I think as time goes on that the airplane might very suddenly appear. Certainly, we know that it's not on its intended flight path, and it's been more than 24 hours now. So I'm not sure that the likelihood of the airplane showing up at some foreign airport is very high right now. But I suppose it's possible if the crew had been overtaken, they would have to break down the titanium doors to the flight deck, which are locked. So I think it would be very difficult for them to get into the cockpit to commandeer the airplane. So I'm not very sanguine that would be a possible scenario.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter B. Field, aviation consultant, for being with the Voice of America, for being with us. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.